Southside 457.
Did you know that the Southside on Lamar is a National Historic Building?
This building tells a story.
I need a story to connect to with my heart.
There are so many stories in this building.
I wanted to teach other people how to naturally love themselves, and so I ventured into the field of opening my own spot.
There are people in this building with a passion to share what they know.
When I share my knowledge and my skills and my gift, I'm serving my purpose.
Preachers, teachers, architects, attorneys, engineers, artists of all kinds in this building.
What makes this place tick to me and makes it exciting is the combination of so many different kinds of people.
It's like a melting pot.
It's like a melting pot.
15 years, I've never regretted being here at Southside.
Welcome to the Southside 457 podcast. I'm your host, Walter Johnson Jr. Let's get it on. You can't miss the princess.
Listen, Linda, listen.
Southside 457.
Welcome to the Southside 457 podcast. I'm your host, Walter Johnson Jr. And today we have another special guest, host of Fun on the Run. And I think she's my cousin.
Yes.
Yolanda Williams. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Walter. Good morning, cuz.
Two hands.
Two hands,
Boom.
brother. Yes.
How are you?
Man, I'm well. It's a good season. I'm doing really well.
Okay. One of the first questions I always ask everybody is, you know, we're filming this at the Southside on Lamar, and this building is just it's interesting in its own and the type of people that it attracts.
Yes.
How did you hear about Southside? Do you remember how your first time here? Because I always say this: you don't just end up at the Southside. Somebody invites you.
Right.
You don't bump into it. So, what was your introduction to the Southside?
Oh, wow. So I'm really going to tell my age here, and I'm going to roll this archival footage back. I grew up in this community. I was born in East Texas, but my parents came to Dallas to teach school and to go to school. And this building and this whole block, this was the Sears and Roebuck building.
Yeah.
And I remember entering when my mom would place an order with the catalog. We would come through that back door, like down on the, just maybe like a block down. No, I think it was right in this building here. And the smell of popcorn would hit you in your face when you would enter that door. So that's my first introduction to the space itself. And then many, many years later, I had a friend. She had an apartment here in this building, and that was the first time. So I've been in this building. I remember I was house sitting for her in this building. So there's a lot of history in here.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So let's go back a little bit.
Okay.
So, who is Yolanda Williams? So you said you came from East Texas.
Yes.
And you end up, didn't you go to Booker T?
I did. I went to
so
Booker
you came,
T.
you left East Texas. You went to Booker T to create a performance art school. Then you went on to college, and then you did these movies, and then now you got this TV show.
Yeah. Oh wow.
Just take us back to when you developed your passion for it.
Oh,
why you wanted to go to the performance art, and how you got to Dallas, and then where you are now.
Okay, so my parents or educators, they both taught in DISD. Collectively, about 40 years average each, between the two of them. My mom was a music teacher. My father taught science. He taught biology, chemistry, and physics. And my dad taught at Roosevelt. My mom, she had many assignments. My father was at Roosevelt his whole career in DISD, but my mom taught music at different campuses. But she ended up, her last campus was Zaragoza, which is in East Dallas. The combination of the two, and them wanting to leave East Texas for a better life. And my dad went to, he actually was teaching in DISD, and my mom as well. So she got her graduate, she did her graduate studies at North Texas University, and my father did his graduate studies at SMU. And being in the household with the both of them is probably the most interesting upbringing I can ever express to anybody. I tell my sister and I laugh all the time. We know just about a little bit about everything. And it was like a National Geographic special from sun up to sundown. We could watch comedy and things like that, but it's just silly stuff. My mom and dad didn't really dig that. Like, we couldn't watch Lucy. We could barely watch The Little Rascals.
Oh, wow.
But we kind of, we would sneak and watch certain television shows. But my mom was always supportive of my creative side, and my dad kind of questioned it. But once he saw what my mom was doing, he was okay with it. I remember I painted a whole mural on the back of our couch in the house. My mom had this really beautiful white couch, and so she would pull it off the wall like maybe once a month to like to wax the floors. And I had these really cool French markers called Caran d'Ache. I'll never forget the brand
Caran d'Ache.
And I drew a whole mural on the back of it. And when she pulled it out, because I was doing a little bit at a time, and she screamed. She said, "Yolanda!" And I said, "Oh my gosh!" She found out, And the way she reacted to it, she didn't get mad at me. She put me in art school like the next week.
Oh, wow. That's a smart woman.
And so can you imagine if her reaction was different and how that would have really just crushed me? You know what I mean?
You'd have been an engineer.
It might have been a boring life. Let me tell you, I'm grateful for her because she is the reason why I was at Booker T. She always had me in ballet or music. I was playing the saxophone. I was doing all kinds of stuff. And I'm going to tell you something. I tried to talk to her about quitting teaching in the classroom so she could be my manager so we could go on tour doing stuff when I was like third grade. And she was looking at me like I was crazy. And I was like, "Come on, Mom, I go work at Disney and you can quit your job. We can do this." She looked at me. But I'm telling you, I didn't really even know what I was saying.
That's what I'm saying. How did you even know? Like, I wasn't thinking about a road manager or a manager.
I was thinking about that stuff because I had Disney on my mind because that was my only point of reference. And do you know, I think I manifested that whole thing because I ended up working at Disney many years later, but I've been talking about it since I was 8 years old. So I appreciate my Booker T experience, walking down those halls and being in the room with that many creative people all at the same time. It gives you courage. It gives you knowledge. And to this day, I can honestly say that my musical and my theatrical career is the foundation of my television show now because I already know how to go into pre-production and production and post-production and all that because I visually see things differently than other people because I'm always basing it off of live performance.
Yeah.
Man, I used to have a Panasonic tape recorder in the back seat of our car, and I would have recorded episodes of Sanford and Son on cassette, and I would be listening to it going to my grandma's. This is way before the VCR. So I was like, if I can't watch it, I can hear it. I would record Carol Burnett and would be mad.
Carol Burnett.
Oh my God. If we couldn't get home by 9 o'clock to watch it, I was mad. Oh, I was literally upset at my parents. I'm like, they couldn't drive faster so we can get home.
So what was your first performance?
First performance was in church, singing in the choir.
Do you remember the song?
I really don't. If my mom was still alive, she probably knows because she was playing for me. She was like she played piano. She was playing for me. It was probably in the children's choir when I was a kid.
Because I when I first sang in front of an audience was at church, and the first song that I sang was "Oh, When the Saints Go Marching In."
I could see you singing it.
Because see, the thing is we had a drum off. There was a drum off. I wanted to play the drums,
right? And
my brother wanted to play the drums. So we were playing the drums, and I guess my brother, he beat me playing the drum off in the drum off, whatever. So I had to sing. But after I sang at church that day,
right?
That's always what I wanted to do. So that Sunday at that church kind of sent my life on a different trajectory.
Yes.
And even though I'm not singing in things now, but that was the magnetism that kept me away from the foolishness and kept me aimed and focused on something.
And perfect. Exactly. When my mom was pregnant with me, she was like maybe 8 months, 8 months. She used to tell the story. She was judging a solo and ensemble contest, and the trumpet player had not warmed up his trumpet good enough. And when he hit a squeaky note, she said, I turned a flip in her belly. And she said, I kept stretching and moving. She said it scared her. But she said she knew at that moment I was going to be a musician because I just couldn't handle it. And the running joke in my family, if we're watching something and somebody's singing some sour ass note, trust me, I have gotten up and left the space. I can't handle it. It's just like, what key are we in, Jesus? But
so at the art school, so you studied music and theater?
I started off in the piano cluster and because I played piano and I could read music, and then I went into the choral music later. But I always wanted to itch to get back into theater, but they were at that time. A lot of people were telling us, "Well, you can't do all three." So what I did was, and you can't do it anymore. But I took all my academics in the summer. So by the time my senior year, I was taking, I was doing pottery. I was doing art classes, I was in dance classes, I was in music classes and theater classes all at the same time, because I realized at that point, if I can't get a check singing, I can get a check dancing if I can't do that. But it actually worked out in my favor, because when I got to Disney, you do have to sing and dance at the same time. And I realized.
So what did you do at Disney?
I sang with a group at Epcot called American Vibe. You can actually buy the CD still in the gift shop. My picture's on the front with the rest of the group. First day I got there, I had to learn. They gave me a book this thick, 21 charts. Had to learn it in alto 2. Turn around and learn the same charts in alto 1. Probably the most difficult experience of my life, but the most rewarding. And just to be in the room and walk on that property and just see how everything works.
But you had studied all that stuff at the art.
Yeah,
Bishop Arts.
I did, but
not Bishop Arts.
At Arts Magnet.
Arts Magnet.
Yeah, but it was
Bishop Arts.
I know, that's all right. I still in Bishop Arts, but it toughened me up, man. It really did. And I was just thinking about my Disney family today. The hurricanes coming through, and a lot of people that I know still live there, and I'm still friends with all these people to this day. But it was an a cappella group. We did 6 shows a day. And that was hard work with no microphone. And so, can you imagine? I did the math, and I'm saying, okay, how long am I going to do this?
6 shows a day.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was hard work.
So, now that you went to Bishop Arts.
We started a new school.
No.
Yeah.
So, basically, you went, what college did you go to?
So, I went to okay, so here's the thing. I wanted to go to NYU. I had gone up there and auditioned and everything, got a partial scholarship, and I really wanted to go. But my father said no. He told me, he said, I cannot hand you over to New York. Not like that. You're too young to handle a big city. So, and I was mad. Oh my God.
Yeah.
So I decided to go to college right here in Oak Cliff at Mountain View College. Okay. But luckily, by the grace of God, I had a great teacher, a great professor. And every spring we would go to New York to see at least 8 shows. And he realized the importance of us seeing things in a big picture. So I hung out there for about a couple of years. And then I started doing theater. My first professional experience was at Theater 3 in the Quadrangle. Yeah. And then that same year I got RoboCop. And I stopped going to school. And of course, that caused a very big discussion in my home.
Hold on. Before the discussion, we got to talk about RoboCop. You can't just throw that out there and then move on. Explain what you did in RoboCop.
So, audition for the movie. My agent at the time was the Kim Dawson agency, and they said, go read for this movie. And I said, okay. Got a call back, and the cast, the person they cast me as was Officer Ramirez, and at that time I wasn't connecting the dot. I'm like, how am I thinking? I don't look like a Ramirez, but at the time I wasn't like really.
He was Puerto Rican.
I didn't know. I mean,
Dominican.
I didn't know, and so get the movie. And I'm blown away because this is my first time on a huge movie set. Never done anything like this. The best thing I could have learned was from Robert Doakey. Robert Doakey, if you've ever seen the episode of The Jeffersons when Florence had her boyfriend to spend the night and George didn't know, and the man was in his robe in the kitchen drinking coffee, reading the paper, that is Robert Doakey. Great actor. He's done a lot of movies like Willie Dynamite. I mean, I could go on and on. He was in RoboCop. Yeah. And so by me being a young black performer and actor on the set, he walked up and introduced himself to me. He could tell I was green and I didn't know. Yeah. He said, Yolanda, he said, what you need to do is, he said, you need to come on the nights we're not shooting. You're not shooting. And just observe. And I had a little Sony Walkman. And at the time, I would wear it on set and had a radio on it too, and the sound people showed me how to turn the dial all the way down to the AM dial and be on the same frequency as everybody else. same channel maybe, you know, and I would listen to
That
what
ancient
everybody was talking about.
technology.
And that's exactly, I know. And that's how I learned the terminology, like back to one and, you know, check the gate and things like that. And when my time was up and I was on set, I was ready because I knew the language.
Oh, so he was preparing you. He didn't want
Yes.
you to be like,
And he knew that. And that's the most valuable advice. And the sound people really took good care of me because he told them, well, they showed me how to do it, but I would sit like off to the side, not in the way. And I would just watch how everything was working.
what was your feeling like when you first got the job and then when you first got on set? Because you never done a movie before, never been on a movie set.
Well, here's the thing. My theatrical training prepared me for that.
So
too.
you went into that mode.
Yeah. Because
But stage is different than film.
well, that is true. But what I'm saying is, I had already been taught that when a theatrical, you know, it's huge, it's big, you move, but like you're moving, everything is scaled down into this frame.
Yeah.
You just bring it down like a couple of notches, and you're not as loud. You know, you're a little bit more contained, but it still has to be effective. And Ed Neumeyer, the guy who wrote the script for RoboCop, he explained to me who my character was. So we're all named, all the police officers are named after serial killers. I'm named after Richard Ramirez, the guy that was he was a serial killer in Los Angeles. And I was like, okay, that's different, but that was the weird twist. But he was always connected to us, letting us know. I learned so much. I wasn't nervous.
Yeah.
I wasn't nervous. I was like, I knew my lines. I knew how to.
You were prepared.
I was prepared, but you could hear my voice just sounding so young and so green. And plus Paul Verhoeven, you know, he'd already worked with many people and directed many films. He's a Dutch director, and his English was not that great. He would let me ad lib a lot. He would say, "Yolanda, how do you say?" And I'm like, "Okay," I was like, "Okay, I'll just." Change the words here and there. But it changed my whole life, Yeah. And for people now to still be talking about it, we're talking about 37 years later. Walter, I didn't see all of that at first.
Yeah.
No, not at all.
So before we go further, okay, well, no, we got to go further. Then we'll come back.
Okay.
So you did that. Did you do any other movies?
Yes, there's a couple of whack movies that you can look up on my IMDb profile, but you know what? I got paid. My other favorite thing.
Pootie Tang.
I know.
No,
No,
I'm
I'm
joking.
glad. I'm so glad. My episode of Friday Night Lights, season 4, episode 9.
Season 4, episode 9.
The Lights in Carroll Park. I did. My scenes were all with Michael B. Jordan.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and that was cool. And I was a big fan of The Wire. Watched The Wire, and so I was really familiar with him. And when he hopped in that van to take us to set, I turned around and I said, "Brother, this is a blessing. How you doing?" And he was so kind. And I remember I had learned all my lines. And right before we started, he said, "Okay, Yolanda, I'm going to go off script. Roll with me." I was like, "Okay." And I looked at the director. The director gave me the nod. And that whole scene is improvised off book for what Michael B. Jordan wanted to do.
Oh, wow.
I know. But I learned a lot from him as well,
So he's a real good actor, huh?
Oh my God, he's awesome. I mean, this kid, he's been around. Yeah. He was on All My Children when he was like
I didn't know that.
Yeah, when he was like in his teens. So yeah. So The Wire wasn't like his first thing, Yeah.
So that's it for the movies? Or you got
those are the ones why I really like talking about.
So then so you did the film. Then where did you go from there?
So after I left, I was doing a lot of corporate entertainment here in the city because that's my musical theater chops. I was always on stage. If I wasn't on stage, I was doing some type of corporate entertainment or some type of commercials and stuff. And I had some really, really nice national commercials. One of my favorite ones is the one that ran during the Olympics when Usain Bolt won his race that night. And I had an international Nike commercial that ran that night right after he won his race. Yeah.
Oh, right on.
So that was like a cool thing for me. Those things pay the bills. And, a lot of people don't realize we live in Dallas, Texas. So this is a big corporate city. A lot of major headquarters have their headquarters was right here
Yeah.
in the city. So I did the Mary Kay convention for years, like right here at the convention center, and we're talking about a global convention where women come around around the world, and we would repeat these shows like 3 weeks in a row. So, I mean, and that's when I got a little bit creatively stagnant, if you will. And that's what made me want to go to Disney.
Okay.
Yeah.
So now, what do you think about the where we are with music and our culture and entertainment and social media?
Right.
Like, what are your thoughts about that?
Oh my God. We could talk about that for days. A lot of people don't want to go through the process in order to get the prize. One of my favorite things to tell young people is if you stand in line long enough, it'll eventually be your turn. They want things to just kind of pop off like in the microwave. Like
Hold on.
quickly.
Say that one more time. That was powerful.
What?
If you stand in line
long enough, it'll eventually be your turn.
Wow, that's good.
And here's the thing, I don't think you'll really savor or appreciate what you have achieved if you get it really quickly. It's like giving a child a little toy. You went to Toys R Us and you bought this really expensive toy for your kid, and they end up playing with your keys or a cardboard box.
Yeah.
That kind of thing. But
My kids, this is a quick story. We bought all these, this is for Rhythm when he was a baby, my oldest son. We bought all these toys for Christmas, and he just ended up playing with the box.
I told you.
He sat in the box. His toys were over there on the side. He was playing with the box.
I know.
And I was like, man, we could have just got him a bunch of boxes up in here.
I know, right? I know.
But anyways, go ahead.
No, but that's one of my things. I have a lot of young people. The thing that they always like to talk about, they find out I worked at Disney, and they're like, "How did you do that? And I said, "Well, I had auditioned. I auditioned initially here in Dallas, and they flew me to Epcot.
Process.
It was a process. It just didn't happen. And also too, you have to sow a seed in good soil, but you're not going to have the same harvest in the same season that you planted the seed. A lot of people think.
So break that down. Break that down for people who don't understand.
I know, right? So if you plant this seed right now, you think it's just going to bloom and have a leaf or something like the next day. That's not how it happens. It takes a minute. You got to cultivate it. You got to put some sunshine on it. You got to water it. You got to talk to your plant, and that's you. You're sowing a seed into yourself.
Training.
Yeah.
Getting you some acting under your belt, some short films for actors, going out there, and then you go out there and get the roles, right?
And a lot of people don't realize I am my own stylist. I am my own acting coach. I am my producer. I'm making sure I have everything that I need. And that's why my theatrical training helps out so much, because I never let my temperament change or my emotion cloud my logic when I'm on set. Sometimes I can tell you many times when we were on set and you hear people crying or talking, and you got to stay focused, whatever you're doing. Even when I sang at Epcot, we're talking about a musical group, and those little beep little, what I'm talking about, like little hover rounds or something. I mean, I'm that's not the correct name, but they make a little beeping sound, like a wheelchair assisted type of.
Look, I'm like,
I know, right?
Keep going. Use your words.
But what I'm saying is, like, say if somebody's coming through the space and they're backing them, is go beep 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 beep, and you've already been given a cue with a note.
Like at the grocery store, those little things that they.
Exactly, and that happened many times. Like we was singing a group, and Pete, our guy to play bass, that's the note we're gonna sing right there, and then hear somebody come back. Dee, dee, dee. They're totally two different notes, and you're like, oh shoot. And I remember clearly having to look at him and just nod my head and go, like, give me that note again. Because I had to focus because something else interrupted that. So it's just about being focused, man, and just maximizing your time on earth, and just, what are you doing? Are you contributing? And I think this is probably going to segue into what we were talking about earlier about the business and where people are right now.
So what do you feel about like where we are with music versus like, how do you feel like the music has changed now versus when we were growing up?
I think about this a lot. I think we need to get back to an organic way of creating as opposed to synthetic. I think we have.
But what about the people that like synthesizers and electronics and stuff? I mean, I think you can create organically with those things.
Yeah. Well, I don't think you have to bombard yourself with it. I mean, at some point, You want a meal baked in the oven as opposed to a pot pie shoved in the microwave, right? Where's your sustenance, brother?
I got you. So here's the real thing.
Right.
It's just like, I guess what I'm hearing from you is like, you got to be able to create with no electricity.
Yeah, you do. And also you have to be able to survive in different environments and be like the Marine Corps, you have to be able to adapt and adjust in certain things. Like say for instance, back in the day when we were struggling and our electricity got cut off, you get mad, oh my God, you didn't have any money or you forgot to pay your bill, one of the two.
Yeah.
Do you let that mess up your day? You stay calm and just figure out a way to navigate through it. It's like that with anything now. In my age right now where I am, I don't get a little flustered about little stuff. We say don't sweat the small stuff. It's about how to just remain calm and hold on to your temperament. That's one of the biggest lessons I learned in the last year.
Yeah.
Yeah. But musically,
like with the songs on the radio and
I don't even listen to the radio.
yeah.
Like Earth, Wind and Fire is always in rotation. I'm listening to Snarky Puppy right now. I listen to old school like Bernard Wright.
Do you think it's just because we're getting older and because I mean, we like to think we're not the ones, but every generation it's like the same thing. Oh, you don't need to listen to music like that. Well, that ain't music, boy. Let me tell you, put on this temptation for you, boy.
But I do listen to new music. Like I know when I'm like putting my reels together, Instagram or other social media platform, I give you choices of what the top things people are picking, and I go, oh, that's clever, that's cute, and so I'm not totally closed off with that. But I know I have turned into my mom and my daddy because when that record stuff, I'm like, oh, what is that?
But see, the kids, like these young people, they love it. So the thing is, do you think like at some point, as we get older, we kind of get like, okay, not that we box ourselves in, but we just kind of like we just define our taste, and then it's just like if you're outside of this, then you can't come in,
right?
And we're just gonna just define that as this, and this is good, and that's not good. Yeah. So, like, I don't know. I'm just thinking because every generation, like, even the people that are in the industry, and they're like, they try to stay up on what's going on and current and like understanding. But sometimes it's like you can create it, but it's just like you really don't.
I'm gonna tell you. I give you
really
a perfect example. There's a lot of younger people that work in the building where I work, and they were listening to a Harry Styles song. And it was at the very top of the song, and then it went to the bridge. And I was like, they were like, Yolanda, you like that song? I said, that's Brothers Johnson. And they were like, who's the Brothers Johnson? I said,
Strawberry.
I said Exhibit A. So I pulled up my iTunes and I pulled up Ain't We Funkin' Now by Brothers Johnson. And they were like, oh, that's like the whole thing. I said, that's where that song came from. Yeah. So I am that that older seasoned person in the space that's reminding people this is where the sample came from. That ain't what you think it is. So I ain't gonna lie to you. I actually like kind of like pulling a card with that. So, but it's just about appreciating. But here's the thing. I love that they did go back and get that because that's bridging the generations together. Yeah. You know what I mean? So it's all good. Kind of like when James Brown was first getting sampled by a lot of people early in the rap game. And then James Brown had a really nice take on it. He was like, with this, they're taking my music and introducing it to the hip hop community, which I love. And if you've never seen the latest James Brown documentary on A&E, which I love, it breaks it down like African Bambaataa, and they talk about all of that and how everybody in hip hop has taken the most snare drum samples. So it's all connective tissue. It's all gravy, baby, as my mama used to say.
It's gravy, baby.
It's gravy, baby.
So, they're building the Southside studios.
Yes.
And they're putting millions of dollars into that.
Yes, I saw that.
We interviewed the guy who's heading that up, Steve Demler. Mm-hmm. And they're about to, his goal is to bring in Talent Entertainment, they fund projects, film projects. Yes. And they have that studio down there. So they're going to be funding and filming, and they have plans for all these things. So what okay, I say that to say this. First of all, I ask you, did you know? Second of all, to say what do you feel about Dallas as a whole, bringing the film industry here, and what do you feel about the talent here? And what are your thoughts about?
So first of all, Texas is a right to work state. So if that's happening down the street, that is fabulous, fantastic. I support it 1,000%. And thank God that somebody is thinking ahead and it's bringing back film and television back to Dallas the way it was back in the 70s and 80s and 90s, because, we were steady auditioning for projects all the time. So if they're bringing life back to the city and those projects are coming, I applaud them with all of my heart. I mean, that's what the city needs. For years, it's been dry. It's been a desert. It's like that hadn't been happening. Making other film projects move and go to other states like Georgia and Florida and Louisiana. And so that there, and one time I was on the set of Prison Break and I was talking to one of the producers and I was like, why do you guys love coming to Texas? Well, first of all, it's the budget is cut in half to come to Texas, but we have beaches, we have deserts, we have big urban cities and terrain and all those things you have to understand everything in Los Angeles and California has been filmed already. It's been filmed to death. Mm-hmm. So that's why they were coming to Texas, because we had just all these wonderful choices to right here. You can go to Corpus or you can go to Austin. Waco. Yeah, especially that. But also at the same time, that's happening down there. And the talent and the pool is here. And also other people know it too, like 50 Cent. Yeah. He just bought all this real estate in Shreveport. So that's about, 150 miles east from here, 30 miles from where I was born. So I get it. I am so happy that people are interested in coming to the South, because for years, the South took a beating with our reputation within the past, that there weren't intelligent people here where you could do any type of work with. And now they find that not to be true. So this is good for the economy. It's good for actors. They have to incorporate and bring people in to want to put them on film. And it's just a win-win for everybody.
So I'm gonna switch it up a little bit. Okay. So you're doing the show at CW33.
Yes.
Fun on the Run. Tell me a little bit about the show, and then I want to know how you manage that, because that's on weekly, and you're around and people recognize you. So how does that feel as being that face that people are recognizing when you go to different places? So just first of all, tell me about the show.
Okay. Fun on the Run is a lifestyle show. We come on Monday through Friday, and we change the time, 3:00 Central Standard Time. And people actually can watch the show online after it's, run the first, on the air, and then you can go online to our website. It is a wonderful opportunity to meet people in Dallas-Fort Worth. Man, I tell people learn how to make sushi. I'm roller skating. I'm taking yoga classes with alpacas. I meet the most interesting people in the world. And when I first started doing the show, I really didn't know where to start. But as an actor, I freelanced for so many years. So I just decided to interview people that I had worked for or worked with, that, who I had a great Rolodex of friends that I first started out with, and which led to other opportunities. And it's been really rewarding. I just got back from the State Fair of Texas on Tuesday, and just to walk through the crowd and people walk up and say, Yolanda, how you doing? I watch you every day. And it's not who I think it is, because I don't know who's watching. I just know that we're averaging, because last time I checked was averaging 6,000 viewers per household every day, and I love that. I meant to say 6,000 households, I should say, not 6,000 per household. That would be too many people living under one roof. I know, right? No, but to see the diversity of the people that actually have enough courage to walk up and say something. I'll see people wave in the back. They're like, I don't want to bother you. And I'm like, no, how you doing? I'll introduce myself. It's a ministry, Walter. It's bigger than me. It's not what I expected. It was not on my list of things to do in this world. If somebody had told me that the State Fair of Texas, where I have been walking around all of my life, every year going with my little school friends, that I would be behind the counter talking to some of the most iconic legends who have booths there at the fair. I didn't see that coming, man. Just didn't. And so I'm just...
How did that opportunity come?
my GM, my GM, Mark Hefner. I was producing a morning show, and we were shifting and changing the format. And I remember he said, "Yo, come talk to me. I want to holler at you." And I was like, I really thought I was getting ready to lose my job. I mean, that's just the truth. He said, "I saw your package. I had gone to Forney down there, and I'd done a zombie package where paintball zombies. And my friend Andy, who shot it, he shot it like a movie, like the Walking Dead. It's great. It's a great package." He said, I want to do stuff like this. And
So explain what a package is for the people.
okay, so a package.
I know what a package
yes,
is.
right.
Yeah.
It's just the video presentation. It's like a video clip, and it's like 4 minutes long or whatever. And the terminology we use is package. And I'm telling you, he saw that. He said, "I'd like to see if you want to do your own show." And I looked at him, and I thought I heard him wrong. And I said, "Excuse me?" He said,
in the back of my mind, he'd be like, "Well, yeah."
No, I really thought I didn't hear him correctly.
Skippy.
He said, I said, "Are you serious?" He said, "Yeah." He said, I said, "Well, what kind of show?" He said, "Well, whatever you want to do." He said, "Within reason," within reason, of course. And I'm like, "I got you." But man, when I ran out of there, I cried. I was like, "Lord, thank you." And I just started running like FloJo when I had a vision board. I still have my vision board. And I just started going through different categories: sports, music, health, theater, everybody I could think of. And I just started calling up folk. And it's just been turned out. And let me tell you, one of my proudest moments has been, and I know you'll appreciate this, some of my folks that I've interviewed that have passed on now, I'm so happy that I got them documented before they left up out of here, because that is my assignment, to make sure that people know who they are. And I remember when I interviewed Sean Martin, and I will have that forever. I even had footage that I shot of my mom 7 years before she passed. And I was able to use that footage. So the lesson to me now is to keep going. Don't get weary in well-doing. Keep pushing and document these folk who are so talented, because I don't know how long they're going to be here on Earth.
Yeah.
And, and to be able to re-air it. And I remember I posted to my social media. I got so many messages from people like, "Yo, thank you." And I'm like, I'm glad I was obedient to God, and I just downloaded that, and I just went full throttle. You know what I mean?
Did you record Bernard?
No, didn't get a chance to record Bernard. But Bernard and I were friends because he and his
Bernard
wife,
Wright. People.
Bernard Wright, yeah, the great Bernard Wright. Bernard, his wife, Anita, and I, we met at Shaka Khan's house in 1986, the summer of 86, the summer I was filming RoboCop.
Wow.
And so I would see him in Dallas every now and then, but I was never able to go up and talk to him. And I'm telling you, it's a true story. We were at Gazelic down on Greenville before they
Hold on a
changed.
second. You said Shaka Khan's house.
Shaka Khan's
She
house.
lived in Dallas?
No, she lived in New York.
Okay.
So I'm gonna give you a little history lesson. So Sandra St. Victor, who was with the Family Stand, her mom, my mom was her music teacher. She lived behind us, and her daughter at the time was trying to get back to New York. And this is when Piedmont Airlines was around. This is like they ain't even around no more. And her daughter, I took her to New York to take her back to her mom because she had been out here in Texas. And she's like, "Come on, we're going to go hang out with some friends." I'm like, "Okay." We at Shaka Khan's house. So we go to the house, you guys, and the house, she had the whole floor. This is in New York, those type of apartments where you got the whole floor.
Yeah.
And we go in, Mark Stevens is there, which is Shaka's younger brother, and Bernard and his wife Anita there, and their oldest son is sitting with them. And so Sandra goes, so Shaka goes, she said, "They from Dallas too." And we were all looking around like, "Really?" And we were bugging out. So fast forward, when I run into Anita and Bernard again, I was like, "Bernard," I said, "My name's Yolanda." I said, I met you at Shaka's house years and years ago. And I said, "And your son Bunkins," I think that was his nickname. I said, "He was with y'all and Anita." And he was like, "Oh, okay." He walks away. And I thought, "Oh man, what did I say? Did I say something wrong?" He just walked away from him. He comes back. He goes, "You were in RoboCop." He just started listing
That's his
everything.
personality.
He just started listing everything. And I'm like, he does remember. And so after that, he would just, every time I would see him, last time I saw him was at the Snarky Puppy recording. And I walked in, he was like, "Yo," that's what he said. He said, "Come here, give me your phone." So he calls Anita and he says, "Anita, you ain't gonna never believe who's sitting there. Yolanda. Remember Yolanda was in RoboCop? And I'm like laughing. But that's just what kind of spirit he was, man. He was just a really nice and so talented and so humble, so.
So the show is Fun on the Run.
Yeah, we were talking about Fun on the Run. I went to Bernard Wright story.
No, it's okay.
But the show's really important to me. I'm very involved. I'm on the grind. I have a tablet by my bed. When I get an idea, I'm writing it down about who I need to call and who I need. And recently, had the pleasure, and this hasn't really aired yet. We went to Prairie View. I went to Prairie View to interview Coach Bubba McDowell. He's the head coach of the Prairie View Panthers right there. Yeah. And they played in the Cotton Bowl, and they won against Grambling. And I'm now kind of venturing into sports. But I love how I'm getting a chance to have all these wonderful opportunities to sit down and talk with people and ask them about themselves. Because usually people just want to know about what they do for their work and everything. Just talk to them. And they are so transparent and so conversational. And it just works.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
what I'm hearing you talk, I hear a whole lot of faith talk and Bible verses. And so what does your faith mean to you in your life?
Oh my God. Wow.
What does it mean for you, and how has it affected your life and your decisions?
To be obedient. So some of these ideas, I can't take credit for them. I'm the vessel. It comes through God. It comes from God through me. The last shall be first, and the first shall be last. I mean, I just turned 60 years old.
60?
I am 60. Big 60.
You do not look 60.
Thank you, honey. That's that all of Olay. But anyway.
All of Olay.
But what I'm saying to you is just stay in the race, man. Don't give up. I mean, and you hear people say that all the time. But I'm a living and walking testimony. I've been in this business for almost 40 years. I remember trying to explain to my parents what I'd like to do. And they just couldn't quite grasp that idea because they were such a traditional couple. They were teachers. Everything was secure with them. And I trust God. Every opportunity that came before me, and I said, okay, Lord, I trust you. I'm going to Disney. I had 10 days to make up my mind whether I was going to do that. This whole opportunity with Fun on the Run, it was the same. And it has a pattern. And I recognize the pattern now. So anything that comes just so obscure and so weird and from left, and it's a great opportunity, I said, well, what do I have to lose if I don't try it, You know
what I say is, for me in my life, it's open doors.
Yeah.
And I always say, as I learned through my life, and I say, God is the God of open doors. Now, he'll close some doors too.
Oh, yes, he will.
But when he opens them, no man can shut them. Mm-hmm. So, like some of the greatest opportunities that I've gone through in my life, it's just like the doors open, you're like,
yeah.
It's kind of like, it's so easy to go through. It's like, should you?
Yeah.
Should you go? Should you go? It's like, but the door's open. Mm-hmm. And that's what I feel like you're saying. It's like they're weird moments or whatever.
Yeah.
But I think the weirdness is that because you can see what's on the other side of the door because the door is open. And now it's just whether you want to walk in or not. But that's your choice.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah,
but it's wide open for you.
Oh my God. Let me tell you, man, it's everything is musically based with me because I'm a musician first. And just picking the theme music for the show was everything to me because we had to go through like this little database to where all these theme music choices were for us. And I remember typing in Earth, Wind, and Fire because that's my band. I wanted something that would be globally that appealing to everybody, I remember one time I'm going to tell you my favorite thing to do these days is when we shoot footage and we put the music underneath and that music falls right with that right clip. It's like me playing basketball with Michael Jordan, that type of thing, that type of moment. I remember we were editing a package and my friend Eric, he was like, yo, come look at this. And he was like, doom, digga, doom, digga, doom, hiya. And I was like this. And I was like, that's it. It was imagine that footage with that music, man. And I was just in hog heaven. I was just driving home going, that's it. And that's just me. It's like the musician in me and the filmmaker in me too, because I'm thinking about a shot. Me and Heath were at the Cotton Bowl the other day and we were talking and I said, He said, yo, how you want to do this? I said, you see that Cotton Bowl logo up there? I said, I want that camera to be right there. And I said, I want you to come down.
So you're a director?
There. I am. And I'm looking at all that. So I know that's the nerd and the geek in me. That's okay. I admit that. I embrace that. But man, that is my life. That is what I do. I've had different people that don't like watching TV or movies with me because I'm like, whoa, look at that drone shot. Y'all see that? Whoa, I'm making faces. Yeah. But I can't help it.
Because you see all, what it takes.
All of it, yes. Look, I was watching a show on Apple TV the other night called Palm Royale with Carol Burnett in it. Woo, they put some money behind this. And I'm looking at the costumes and I'm looking at the timeline. And one thing about me, I am a continuity person. If it's something in the shot that doesn't...
That cup wasn't there.
Well, here's the thing. I'm going to tell you where my eyes really fall. If somebody has on acrylic nails, like something modern, what we're doing right now, and it's something way back in the 40s, 50s, and 60s, I'm like, why didn't they make her cut her nails down? They weren't wearing nails like that. Or if musical phrases, if the styling of the music is very different than the times that they're doing. Now, sometimes I'm forgiving about things, but when it's big budget, I'm not forgiving because I'm like, yo, they paid you to do, somebody should have caught that. You know what I mean? So I'm real big on stuff like that. And I'm paying attention to the lighting and, I'm looking at everything because that's just me.
So what's next? What do you hope to do?
My God. There's some things, we got some projects that I can't really mention right now that we're working on. And, it's about relationships in the community, musically, I'll say that much, and I'm looking to put some more things out there, more good content. I'm really proud of how far Fun on the Run. We just celebrated our 2nd anniversary. And so I'm looking forward for the next few years of just really bringing great content and introducing people to the community. Kind of like when we came and did our package with you, and introducing you to a whole new audience of folk who never knew that Walter Johnson Jr. is an artist extraordinaire and intelligent. And let me tell you, and I've got a good team, of people who really know what looks good and sounds good. And it's been a joy, man. I love it. I look forward to it.
I'm about to scrabble all this conversation all up. You said we were talking about this earlier. You said somebody was mentioning something about P. Diddy, and you had to bite your tongue. You had to do whatever to keep from saying something.
Yeah.
So
let me drink some water.
Speak on it.
That. Oh my God, we talking about P. Diddy? Hold on.
I'm not even like I'm not even that dude, but I think it's valid.
I will tell you this. From a media standpoint, I would say you really have to be careful about what you say and what you post on social media about things that are in the works. We don't know all the background, and I have a law enforcement background too. So, I used to work for the government when I was in college, but I also know.
See, Officer Rodriguez.
Ramirez.
Ramirez.
That's right. But what I will say is that I look at it from an artistic point of view as well as the other. People,
artist cop. Hold on a minute.
So I know.
No, go ahead.
I call them. I call those type of folk street corner journalists. They don't have all the facts and they're posting stuff. There's 3 filters that anybody, not just us as people working in the media, but is it kind? Is it necessary? And most of all, is it true?
Yeah.
Wait for the right folk on the right platform then you can share, but don't just put your own spiel.
You feel there's a lot of false information out there?
I do because I think people need money. And they're looking for anything that's going to get hits and likes, and it's inflammatory, and that's what's on the menu right now.
That's how people are getting paid because if they can get people to go click and watch a little bit of it.
Exactly. So they're riding this until the sun goes down, But here's the thing: you have to be careful about who you join at the hip with. Also, too, now from an artistic point of view, when you have a platform like Diddy does, if these things are allegedly true, this is a lesson for all of us. If you're given the opportunity with a platform like you and I, are you really going to waste your time doing some things? You have to, let's just say you have to maximize your opportunity if you have a platform. It has to be positive. It has to be nurturing. It has to be supportive of other people, not about ourselves.
Okay, so in a practical sense, what does that mean? Like, lay that out.
Well,
practicing, like what does that look like?
Well, here's the thing, and I've been in show business for 40 years. The Diddy parties, those things have been rumored for years. Yeah. But now we're in the age of the internet where it kind of makes it in real time, if you will. Yeah. So we've kind of seen all this, and and I'm gonna tell you the thing that really got me in the latest headline was that everything that Wendy Williams was saying, everybody's now listening to her, but she's been saying that for how many years now? And she lost her job at the radio station.
So what was she saying?
She was just being vocal about things that were happening in the music industry. Okay. And she lost her job at the radio station in New York because allegedly, P. Diddy made these phone calls and made her lose her job at the radio station. And then she was moved out of the New York market into Philadelphia. Okay. And my aunt was a DJ in New York City. So those are things that we had heard for years. Gotcha. So, that wasn't like a secret or anything. But if you are going to listen to somebody about those things, just make sure you're listening to a source that has credentials.
But do you think people, like the average Joe or Susie in America, for lack of a better names, but do you think they're really like trying to seek out sources, or they're just being entertained by what's coming out? Because it's always just a swipe up. Yeah. And then you grab onto it. Yeah.
Well, look at the whole situation with Pierce Morgan and him interviewing Jaguar Wright just in the last couple of days.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah, and so now the attention is on that, and I guess Beyonce and Jay-Z have now, have legal counsel speaking for them. That you can't say all these inflammatory things without proof. And it is, you're casting doubt in a fan base of hip hop folk like Jay-Z and, Beyonce and that type of thing. So they don't want to be attached to that and nobody talk. So they're speaking up now. And I think it's going to become more and more interesting as the days go by.
Internet law.
Yeah.
Like, what do you say?
But you know what the main thing is? We can't be distracted by this. We still need to be paying attention to things that are very vital in this community, like voting. We have a huge election.
But see, that's what it is, though, right? That's what it is. Like, some of these social media platforms, like, they create this algorithm, so they allow what's coming through. They control the pipelines of the information.
Wow.
You know what I mean? So it's just like they can like, okay, no, stop, go. Yeah. They kind of traffic. What was it? Like almost traffic control kind of thing.
Oh,
just so they can allow this in, they can block this. So depending on, I guess, whichever side you're on, red or blue, right, you can kind of manipulate the situation a little bit. Yeah. To, especially if you're benefiting from it.
Right. I'm going to tell you this, and the people in the story will remain unnamed. Talking to a really good friend of mine yesterday.
Who was it?
No. And I remember her telling me a story about P. Diddy years and years ago, and she and I were talking on the phone just yesterday. I said, "Do you remember that story?" She said, "Yolanda, you remember that?" I said, "Heck yeah, I remember that." Because she's one of my best friends, and we talk all the time. But I was telling her, I said, "Aren't you glad?" Because she saw P. Diddy at a function here, and she told him she was a musician. She wanted, she was trying to see if she could get a record deal. She's like, "I sing," and he said, and I don't think she had like a sample of music or a CD or anything. He said, "Well, sing something for me." So she sang a part of the song, and he was like, "Oh yeah." Well, he told her, he kind of blew her off. He said, "Well, get your information to my people," and she said, she could tell that it was just like a brush off. I said, "Ain't you glad?" I said, sometimes rejection is protection.
Yeah.
So it's not a bad thing. Sometimes we have to really count our blessings and go, okay, maybe that opportunity was not for me. That was not my assignment, So we have to have discernment and wisdom when it comes to things like that.
See, there we go with them that Christianese and everything. So before we close,
yes,
how important is your faith?
Oh my
Because
God.
we kind of got off.
It's everything, man. It's everything. Every decision before I make a decision, I take it to God. And honestly, sometimes some things are pretty unusual coming to me. And I'm like, why do you want me to do that? And then when I do follow through, it becomes so evident why he downloaded that in my spirit to go ahead and follow through. Because I'm going to tell you, I'm not a sports person. I'll give you an example. Like I told you when I just interviewed Coach Bubba McDowell in Prairie View. I'm not a sports aficionado. I don't know the first thing about football.
Me either.
Well, okay, you be with me.
I could point out a football. Though.
Right. But after I went down there and I interviewed him, because I knew, because when they come to Dallas before the big game in the Cotton Bowl, there's no way there's all these other major affiliates there, stations to interview. And they're sports guys, and I'm a female. They probably going to talk to them, and they probably can answer one question. But it was something about me wanting to get ahead of it. I wanted to go down there and interview him in his setting, in his backyard, where he would be more comfortable in a conversation. And I just was so grateful for that opportunity. But for me, it's like God said, okay, I'm sending you, but you're going to have to really hustle for this now. I'm telling you, I'll make a way and I'll put everything in your path. And he did. And we were trying to gain. I was a little flustered about it because I was trying to get good B-roll and stuff. Man, do you know I had a friend right on the side that was working on the field of the game that got me B-roll of the game up close, and I was worried about where I was going to get B-roll.
Wow,
and it was like God was like, see, why you tripping, yo? I told you I had you. So every time that little anxiety or something comes up, it's a reminder for me to just relax.
Do you think that happens because like when you are the talent, you're thinking about all the other things instead of just being the talent?
Well, I had to be taught that. God had to teach me that. Like sometimes I will match all the visual things in a space. Like today, look at us. We're matching this. I didn't come up with this outfit. I was just like, I'll just grab this. And when I didn't know all this was in here. I have been on set on some different places, and I match everything, my wardrobe from my tennis shoes. And I have people say, oh my God, you're matching everything. And I'm like, I had never been here before. I mean, I don't know what that looks like.
Blue jean jackets,
right?
T-shirt,
So something,
hats, glasses,
sneakers. So
blue jeans, black jeans.
So sometimes it's the smallest of things with wardrobe to the biggest of things, something working out with who the people are. So I've seen that pattern over and over, and my faith reminds me, don't worry. Don't worry about what it looks like in the flesh. Just lay back and let the Spirit usher me in. And I'm telling you, man, and how I know it's God, I have no background in this traditional broadcast journalism lane.
Yeah.
And a lot of people who have come through that can't quite understand the favor I have from God with that. Because like I said, he just told me, show up. I'm sending you. Don't you worry about the other. I got this. You just need to go do what I told you to do. And what people say, what your personal assignment from God, it's not a conference call. It's something that he gave to you.
Yeah.
And some people say favor's not fair. I say favor is fair sometimes. Because if you've run the race and you've stayed obedient, and you've kept that open communication with your creator, why not will he not give you something really cool and creative to do? Like when you paint, man, do you feel like you're in a zone and you're just all that beautiful stuff that you didn't create that, that came from a higher source?
And I tell you that sometimes, like when it comes to creating and like everything, I feel like when I get a vision or an idea or something, and especially if it keeps coming in my mind, and I feel like, well, it's coming to me, and nobody else can see it because it's in my mind. Mm-hmm. And even if I see it for somebody else, I feel like I'm responsible because I can see it. Yeah, I'm responsible for bringing it out.
Exactly.
Like, so it's just like, so if I say, oh man, you should do a podcast, man, and I see the vision and I get it, then I feel like regardless of whatever, however we make the deal, my obligation is to the vision
Yes.
and the one who gave me the vision
Right.
to make sure that I do it. Now, if nothing happens or whatever, but if I see it in my head, then I'm responsible for bringing it to the manifestation of putting it on the planet.
Right.
Because it's on the planet, it's just in my head.
Yeah.
But to bring it to where everybody can see it, I feel like that's what being an artist is. It's bringing that, it's a part of being an artist, is bringing what's in your head that you enjoy
Right.
to a place where everybody and other people can enjoy it.
Well, I'm going to teach you something that I learned this year, and this is for every creative person that's listening and watching. Creative people are often criticized more than anybody else. But peep this. How else do other people on this planet benefit, and how do they spend their free time?
Watching Netflix.
Watching music, listening to
Listening to
music, watching movies, watching television shows, and going to art galleries and watching what you created. They benefit from creators. So you can't be critical.
They take leisure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can't criticize the people that are creating all this wonderfulness in the world for you, but yet and still we're the most criticized people on the planet. And you have to somehow not pay attention to that. You have to have thick skin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the thing is like, I have a friend of mine, Kelsey Hammerman. She's an artist, but we always talk about, it's just like, well, she used this phrase like, she's like, Christmas is like Judgment Day where you go give gifts and stuff like that. It's like,
Right.
It's like Judgment Day when it's time to trade gifts. Like, oh, well, your gift wasn't, but I think as an artist, anytime you create work and you show work, whether it's music, whether it's, whether it's visual or audible, I think when you display that, it's Judgment Day.
And it's also
like you open it. So you have to be vulnerable. Like it's a
that's
vulnerability.
the word I was about to say. Yeah.
It
It does make you vulnerable, and you kind of feel some kind of way about it, but you have to follow through. If that's an idea that has been downloaded in your spirit, then you have to follow through.
So this is why I think authenticity is important,
Yes.
because if you're going to be vulnerable, you might as well be real.
Come on now. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If
Well,
you-
yeah.
I mean, if it sounds like something else, or if it looks like something else,
Yeah.
it's just, I mean, that's because of your influence, but not because you're copying or trying or
Yeah.
whatever. It's just authentic to where you are and where you are in time.
I'm gonna tell you something that I've been appreciating here lately in my age and my career. All of the people who came before us who were creating, and things that were done behind the scenes that were never actually told out loud, that benefited. Like, say for instance, one of my favorite stories is how Michael Jackson had acquired all his publishing and masters for different things, and how he gave back Little Richard all of his recordings back to him before he died, so he could enjoy some type of residual and royalties from that. And he just did it. He bought it and just gave it to him. And it was never in the headlines when it actually happened.
Yeah.
It only got in the headlines. The first time I heard about it was on YouTube. It was many years later. So, just reciprocity is one of my favorite words, and just giving back. And it feels good to give. And just think about how all those years, that stuff that Little Richard had created, he didn't have ownership of it, but Michael Jackson saw the value in that, and he knew it was necessary to do that for him, and not make a big deal and be like, hey, look what I did. I gave this back to him, So those types of stories I've been seeing quite a bit of lately, and I love that.
So you hit me up on Facebook
Yeah.
probably, I don't know, about 2 or 3 years ago, and you're like, hey man, get back at me, or something you said, but it was like, hey, I think you my cousin.
Yeah.
I think we're related.
I think it
and
was
I'm like, what? I'm like,
it wasn't that long ago, but it may be like a year and a half ago. Yeah.
Okay.
And I saw your face, and you look like my cousins. You look like my mother's brother's children who live in Chicago. And I remember telling my sister, I said, his name is Walter Johnson Jr. That's the crazy part. And she was like, shut up. Because Walter Johnson, who's another relative of ours, he lived like 3 houses down from my grandmother in Marshall. And you look exactly like them. And I'm still doing research. I still say we're related because the fact that you are a creative person, and he was a painter as well, and all those folk. So yeah, I have no doubt.
Well, I was talking to my dad before he died, and then I was talking to my uncles. Mm-hmm. And some of the people that you had mentioned, they knew, but there's so many different levels, because you got people calling people cousins and uncles and
Right.
everything else, and then it's just like you got all these different dynamics, but they knew some of the people, because I called my oldest uncle. He's the oldest in the family,
Right.
and I was asking him, and he was the one. He's like, yeah, that's so. I mean, it could be on my grandmother's side, on my grandfather. It's
You know what we need to do? We just need to order one of them Ancestry.com DNA kits and just have you tested.
and then I'm gonna be from Ireland. My family's from Ireland.
It's probably now that's something that we need to talk about, because that's probably been one of the most rewarding experiences of my life, because my father was a science educator for so many years. I did his DNA testing before he passed, and let me tell you, all that stuff that came back,
Topeka, Kansas. No, I'm joking.
man, it was. I still have it in my profile, and just to see where all that came from. And I used to live in Hawaii, and I was around a lot of Vietnamese, Polynesian, and Black folk who were fused together. And I used to get asked the question all the time, hey, are you a war baby? Like, where are you from?
War baby?
Well, in other words,
I know.
yeah. And they would like, I had a teacher that
But I didn't know they refer to people as war babies.
I've had people say stuff like that.
A war baby.
I know, it's crazy. And then I had people ask me, I had a teacher at American Airlines. She was Filipino. She said, Yolanda, where are you from? I was like, what do you mean, where am I from? She said, no, where are you from? So she used to explain to me why she thought I was Filipino. She said my skin tone, because it was a little orangey, as opposed to, just being light skinned,
Yeah.
And literally, when I took my test, it popped up with Filipino and Vietnamese and South Asian. And one of my friends who still worked at American Airlines, I told him, I said, you go back and you tell Lily that she was right. It's almost like how Black folk, we look at each other, we look up under and go, oh yeah, they Black. Well, she was doing the same thing with me, but no disrespect. She was just looking at me like, she said, you sure? And I was like, from what I understand. Because most Black folk in America, we always like to say, well, we got Indian in our family.
Yeah.
But that did not come across my DNA testing at all about American or Native American, indigenous. No, it was definitely Filipino.
My dad told me, he's passed now, but he told me that I may have brothers and sisters over in Vietnam. When I was over in Vietnam, he said,
Shut up.
yeah, he had a girlfriend over there. Mm-hmm. And he said, it's funny how he met her, but he said he'd go to this place. Well, they used to go to, he left the camp and then they went to a place in Saigon. He called it Saigon.
Right.
I got it recorded on my phone. But he went to Saigon and he said, like, you go to this restaurant and these women, they have numbers. And he's like, you just pick a number. Take number 12, and then they'll meet you back. They'll say, okay, go back, and they'll meet you in the room or whatever.
Oh, wow.
And he said that he picked his number and went back there, and then he said his number. He's like, they just hung out, and my dad said that was his girlfriend. he made her his girlfriend, and he said that he think that he got her pregnant and all these things, that he had to come back, and he came back here, then he volunteered to go back to Vietnam. And I don't even know how many of my brothers and sisters know this story, but so I'm pretty sure that I got nieces and nephews over there, and brothers and sisters.
It's a family reunion.
But my dad was telling me, he's like, a lot of guys.
I'm sorry.
A lot of guys had children over there and left.
Absolutely, yeah.
Because some of them guys were over there. My dad was over there for like 3 or 4 years, something like that. 2, 3, 4 years, something like that. So a lot of guys, when they were over there, it was like they settled. Yeah. Like they were in war and combat things, but they had a little girlfriend or,
It's a lot of Black folk that go abroad and don't never come back, you know.
Because the concept of war for us is different. Like, it's just like, oh, you just picture walking around like this, peeping around corners. But no, war just looks like, okay, we're over here. Yeah. And we're sent on missions, but we're amongst the people. Yeah. Anyways.
I'm telling you, it was so many Asian different nationalities in my, because I said Filipino, but it was Vietnamese. And I mean, I have to show it to you, man. It's crazy because I was like, oh, that's what and I just was so impressed that my teacher just looking at me, and I would catch her staring at me. She was just like, and she was like, Yolanda, so both of your parents black? I was like, yeah, last time I checked, you know.
Well, she starts speaking to you.
No, she didn't start speaking
Tagalog.
No, she
right?
didn't.
And she's like,
no, but she was convinced, and just by looking at me. So my thing is just having that discernment and wisdom just by looking at me. And that's the same thing I said when I was looking at you. I said, he looked like my cousins that are my Uncle Ollie's kids. And that's why I was like, I'm telling you, when I show you pictures of them, Walter, you'd be like, oh yeah. So, yeah.
I just want that inheritance. Prick me. Prick me right here.
Inheritance. Oh my gosh.
Look, God sent you in my way so that I can get.
I know, right? Man.
So, well, look at people, but look at this camera and tell people where they can find you.
Okay,
And,
absolutely. You can catch Fun on the Run each and every day, Monday through Friday at 3 o'clock Central Standard Time on CW33. It is a digital channel right here in Dallas-Fort Worth. And you can, I watch on Hulu every day. And you can keep up with us on Instagram at Yolanda Williams TV. That's spelled YOLONDA Williams TV.
Well, I appreciate having you
Absolutely.
on the show.
Yes,
and,
thank you, Walter.
I appreciate it.
Thank you, bro. This is
Thank
my
you.
cuz right here.
All right, cuz. Until next time. Peace.
Southside 457.